Hey guys, this is Gene at DNS Bait. This report is current as of Friday the 11th here. Fishing reports as far as the perch bite goes on Lake Mendota is still a little tough for most guys. I have had a few really good reports, but for the most part it's been a little tough out here in the lake. And not a lot of weed line fish. The good reports I've been having have been out on the flats a little bit in that 20 to 26, 27 foot of water. And I've had those reports in a scattered number of areas on the lake. The most recent one was in Warner Bay. Other than that, I've had quite a few over by the Hatch Cover, Spring Harbor area, and some over on the city shoreline by James Madison Park and down that way. But they're real sporadic. You don't seem to be able to duplicate them 2 days in a row, but they are some nice fish when you run into them, and they do seem to cooperate when you find them. They're just not schooled up real tight yet. Bluegills on Mendota just scattered on the weed lines just like the crappies are. No big numbers have I heard caught, but some nice fish here and there. White bass are still stacking up in Warner Bay and out off Governor's Island. Evening seems to be the best time for those. Catfish are really scattered right now too on Mendota, so I haven't heard a lot of that. Largemouth are somewhat active in the weeds in that 5 to 10 foot of water. Smallmouth on the outside edges. So look for the smallmouth to be a little bit deeper in that 15 to 25 foot of water. Dunn's Bar and Burley Bar have been some pretty good areas, but also Second Point. And I've also been hearing some walleye action on Mendota here at times. Some guys trolling some crawlers and leeches, and they've been fishing a little deeper water too. Over on Lake Monona, there's been a surprisingly good bluegill and perch bite taking place. Perch are scattered in a lot of different areas. They're out on the flats. You know, guys are catching those in like 18 to 25 foot of water, and I've heard a variety of areas. Over by Hudson Park, out in front of Obrick Park, Sluter Beach. I've heard some fish over along the city shoreline, also over by the Rock Pile at Squaw Bay, Olin area. I've heard some. You kind of got to hunt around and find the active ones, but they're nice. There's a lot of up to 10-inch perch on the lake. And then the bluegills have been pretty active in a number of areas, anywhere from the weed line out to, I've heard, 35 foot of water. I was out the other day and we were getting them in about 20 to 25 foot of water, and they were actually right on the bottom. We were perch fishing, but we were catching a lot of bluegills right on the bottom. I wouldn't be afraid to go out and suspend or drift for suspended fish in anywhere from 25 to 35 foot of water. Probably right off that Obrick out in that main basin area would be a good area to look for those fish. And there's been some nice size ones. As far as bass on Monona, I haven't heard a whole lot. Largemouth have been in the weeds and that same thing, 7, 8 foot of water. Smallmouth out a little bit deeper. Muskie action, I've heard a little bit of muskie action on Monona lately. They've been taking some, guys have been catching them on bucktails and stuff. Lake Wabeesa, that bite seems to be a little tough down there. There's a few crappies scattered out in the deeper water, 17 to 25 foot of water. I've heard some bluegills out in the deeper water. I heard some bluegills out on some mud down there in about 20 feet of water. Couldn't exactly tell you where that was. I don't really know, but the bite overall on Wabeesa has been a little slow from what I can tell, other than there's been a pretty good walleye bite on the weed line in a few areas in the lake. Generally the walleyes have been on the smaller side, but the number of fish you guys have been getting has been pretty good. Haven't really heard anything on Mud Lake here recently. Typically that's a good place to go drift for suspended bluegills out in the dredge hole there, but I have not heard that. So, and then Lake Kegonsa, like always, has been pretty quiet down there. I just haven't been talking to anybody who's been fishing there. Every once in a while I'll hear through the wind, you know, over the grapevine that there's been some nice bluegills caught in a couple areas, but I don't think there's a lot of guys doing that right now. That's about all I got right now. If you got anything you'd like to share, you can call me at the store, 608-241-4225. Or if you need a report on the road, you can use the phone line, 608-244-3474. Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you later.